When playing ranked, your primary weapons are only part of the equation when making the perfect loadout. In order to make the most of what you have, you need to use the perfect attachments for your primary weapon. You'll also need a good secondary in case you need to whip it out when you run out of ammo. Lethals and tacticals are a must to hinder your opponents or give you an upper hand. And last but certainly not least, perks.
Boring!
Perks are one of the lesser talked about items in the game, not because they're not useful, but because there are so many to use with so many different effects. Today, we're diving deep and taking a look at all 37 perks in the game, and not only that, but putting them on a tier list as well. Disclaimer, this is a tier list based on my preferences and opinions, so if you get triggered, how about closing this video, go outside and touch some grass. It's not that deep. Just a fucking list. Okay, starting with the F/D tier perks, Persistence. I know most of you are familiar with this perk. For those of you that aren't, Persistence is a perk that allows the player to continue their score streaks even after they die. This means if you were 50 points away from a VTOL and you die, it won't reset, and you'll still need 50 points to get it. The catch though is that all of your score streaks will cost 80% more than they originally were, so you'll need to grind more as a result. Also, score streaks are separated into 3 different tiers. This makes it so you cannot choose 3 overpowered score streaks and make your opponents experience hell. Instead, you need to choose a low impact score streak, also known as tier 1, like UAV or Shock RC, a medium impact score streak tier 2, sentries or predator missiles, and a high impact score streak at tier 3, VTOL, swarm, stealth chopper, etc. Now, many of you are wondering, this perk sounds OP, and no, but it's annoying and people hate it because it's scummy and doesn't reward you for skill. Spycraft is also in the F tier because it's simply not practical. Most of the score streaks that could be hacked require you to be in close proximity to them, and most of the time that kills you. Sentry is one of those. Transform shield, okay, you take a little damage. Strip mine, okay, not worth the effort really. It does take only a few seconds just to hack into an opponent's gear, but it puts you in a really vulnerable position and you get very little value out of it. Iron Lungs is a perk that helps reduce scope sway for longer. Unless you're hard scoping lanes, I don't see why you'd use this perk. And even if you play well by hard scoping, it won't get you very far past legendary with high time to kills. Unit support is also on the F/D tier because what it does is it relies on your team to boost up your operator skill. My question is, why use this instead of overclock, which we'll discuss later in the video. Lightweight was on the S tier, but after reading and testing this perk more extensively, it's not as usable as I remember. A 5% increase in sprint speed is barely noticeable, and fall damage isn't something you die from on a consistent basis. So this perk is more lean towards the launcher plus LMG loadout classes because in order to not look like a sloth on the battlefield, you gotta use this perk. Then and only then will you go from a sloth to a fucking tortoise. In OG seasons, this would have been my go-to, but of course the game has evolved over time and it's no longer as good as it used to be. On to our C tier, we have Pinpoint, which outlines your enemies if you hit an enemy or if an enemy hits you. Not only that, but increased aim assist apparently. Honestly, the hit indicator is enough for me and I don't use aim assist anymore because I trained my aim without it in the past. That way I don't have to rely on it. Agile was a perk I used consistently in the past, but once I learned movement mechanics that cancel out Sprintifire, I had no real reason to use it. The reason it's on C tier and not F tier is because new players that don't know movement that cancel it out can use this as a way to bypass that, albeit less effective. Here is a short crash course on how to cancel Sprintifire delay. Sprintifire delay, as the name implies, only happens while sprinting. So how do you cancel it? Literally do any movement mechanic that isn't sprinting. Walk, jump, slide, moonwalk, strafe, etc. If you're a shotgun main, many shotgun pros either pull back their joysticks for a quick second or ADS in then back out, and that's how you avoid Sprintifire delay. Okay, now with that being said, this perk is now useless to you guys, so it now goes in the F tier. Assassin goes in the C tier as well. Honestly, not a bad perk. It can be used to target your opponent's top frag after 90 seconds at the start of a match. Very useful in S&D if you know the opponent's top frag is hard carrying a team. Though because it's a blue perk, you can't use dead silence, meaning it's more difficult to sneak up on your opponents. I wouldn't recommend using it in a hardpoint because it's too fast-paced for you to actively chase after your enemy's top frag. Domination and TDM are the only respawn game modes I recommend. Domination is a game mode nukes are the most easily obtained, so you can prevent them, plus you gain an extra score when you successfully eliminate the target. Overclock is in the C tier, which I know some of you may disagree, but I personally don't use operator skills all that much. Nice to have when you need it though. Quick summary of what it does: Overclock is a perk that reduces the base time to get your operator skill. Recon displays enemies on a minimap within 10 meters after a kill. S&D specific perk if I'm honest. Map awareness and sound cues are what you should develop instead of relying on this perk in my opinion. Demo Expert deals 35% extra damage due to explosive weapons and lethals. I mean, niche perk, but within those niche playstyles, it does its job. Tactical Mass reduces the duration of enemy tactical equipment by 60%. There are other perks that are much more effective at certain effects, which we'll discuss later in the video. Firepower gives you extra ammo for launchers and the chance to steal someone's score streak. In game, this perk should be used more to counter persistence users, just to give them a taste of their own medicine. Again, a niche perk, but it's still useful. Engineer allows you to see enemy score streaks through walls. Pretty pointless considering most are displayed on the minimap. Would have been an F tier except for the fact you can see score streaks inside of care packages. We are finally on our B category, and the first perk to be on this list is the Alert and High Alert perks. Both are decent perks. Again, map awareness should be something you develop instead of relying on these perks, but hey, you do you. High Alert pulses your vision when being aimed at. Not looked at since peripheral vision doesn't activate the pulse. It also marks enemies, score streaks, and lethals. The regular Alert perk is just a worse version, only displaying nearby enemies on the minimap. Next up, we have a toxic perk on the list, and that perk is Martyrdom. Honestly, I need to stop seeing this being used because almost no one ever gets killed by these. All I have to do is wait like 3 seconds for the lane to be freed up, and I'm good to go. Ghost is in B tier because it's a pretty good perk overall. Ghost allows you to stay hidden in the minimap even when the opponent has a UAV. It's a good perk to make flanks on the opponent and catch them by surprise. Hardwired is the opposite of Ghost and allows you to be immune to counter UAVs instead. With the added bonus, EMP grenades and trip mines don't affect you either. Relatively close to Ghost, so it ranks beside it on this tier list. Skulker is at B tier because you should probably mainly use it in low mobility guns like LMGs and snipers. S&D is a good game mode for this perk too. 12% faster walking and crouching is a good thing many seem to underestimate. Movement right now is a really important aspect in today's quick time to kill meta. Tracker makes enemy footprints visible for 9 seconds. Good perk for intel, but again, you need to develop game sense / map awareness instead of relying on a perk. That's where you grow as a player. Tactician and Shrapnel will both be the two last perks at B tier because they're essentially the same thing. Tactician gives you an additional piece of tactical equipment and Shrapnel does the same, but with lethals. Onto our A tier where things start to get good. Amped is my go-to for sniping because I am a dumb melee swapper. This is my favorite perk for sniping classes and I could not play without it. Dauntless, the messiah for respawn only ranked players. Yes! The only thing that keeps those players sane. Dauntless reduces all burning damage and mitigates all movement speed debuffs, so you can rush past cryo bombs toward the objective. Also, Toxic Manowar Thermite Mag using players get a slap in the face because instead of needing 2 bullets, you need 5. Flak Jacket is next to Dauntless on our A list. Well, yes, it is the best perk to reduce explosive damage. Not many people are using frags as their go-to option for lethals anymore. For those that don't know, Flak Jacket reduces explosive damage dealt by 35%, and it did get an added function later in the game's lifecycle, making it reduce continuous damage to Molotovs and Thermites. You can swap this with Dauntless depending on the games you're getting, so they're interchangeable, hence why they're next to each other on this list. Cold-Blooded, another savior for the respawn-only ranked players. Yes! Ever went against persistence using potato players? Lucky for you, you can give the middle finger towards their stealth chopper, sentry guns, shock RCs, yes, any AI controlled score streak because they don't know who the f is on the battlefield. It's like you just decided to put on a hat and they somehow can't fucking recognize you. Wait, I think that's some plot of a cartoon show. Fast Recover is a good perk, but honestly, there are 2 others in my opinion that are way better. 35% recovery rate isn't all that bad, but wait till you see the other 2 that aid in health. Serpentine is the perk for the teammates that rush all the time and can't stay alive enough to get a freaking kill. I'm looking at you, Timmy. Honestly, not that bad. 10%, what the hell? This perk's a T. Nah, this perk, no. Okay, no. Forget what I said. It's fucking C tier. Survival training makes the player immune to negative effects to a single hostile item. It has a cooldown of about 30 seconds. Honestly, it's sort of a downgraded version of Dauntless and Flak Jacket. Kind of a mix of both. It's definitely usable if an opponent has a variety of lethals and respawns. Restock is a really good perk if you're an active grenade enjoyer. For other lethals like Molotovs and Thermites, fuck you. Anyways, Restock makes it possible for you to use multiple amounts of equipment in one life. This includes both lethal and tactical, a better alternative to Tactician and Shrapnel in my opinion. There's no reason to use those perks unless you haven't unlocked this one, which I'm pretty sure you can buy most if not all perks in the credit store right now. Toughness reduces flinch by 60%, and I'd recommend using this perk on marksman rifles and against heavy hitting guns. Believe it or not, the ICR, although weak, is mostly carried by a hit affliction stat. This is the last perk on our A-list category, I used to use toughness all the time when sniping, but there was another perk that was added that I personally have been using since its release. Now we are getting into the S tier perks in the game. First and foremost on this list, we have Gung Ho. Why? I asked myself that too when I was watching the Codm World Championship, but once I analyzed the games a bit more, it just made sense. In respawns, especially hardpoint, the pace of the game is really quick. You gotta move from point A to point B as fast as possible. I thought Gung Ho was a perk specific to the green to playstyle niche. Shotguns are really slow when it comes to reload time, and being slow for an extended period of time just screams kill me. Looking for those players, you can dodge bullets while reloading. You can dolphin slide, do spin cycles, practically any sort of movement you can think of while reloading. Now, the high percentage of players deaths are mostly getting shot while reloading. I'm sure many of you have experienced that. Now, Gung Ho doesn't only apply to shotguns, but every weapon class. I just can't state how good this perk is. Now, enough with the glazing. Quick fix is Chef's Kiss. Perfect for racking up kills since this perk regenerates your health after a kill, and OBJ players get the added bonus of increased health regeneration when holding or capturing objectives. Now, what more could you ask for? Vulture is similar to Quick Fix in a sense. Once you kill an enemy, you get extra ammo by going toward the enemy's body. Now, the regen effect comes into play when you pick up the ammo, granting you 20 HP. Note that there's a 2-second delay to this effect so that it stays balanced, but nonetheless really good for keeping streaks alive. Dead Silence is another S tier. I don't think I need to explain why, but for this video's sake, I will. Fun fact though, Dead Silence used to completely silence your movement regardless of sprinting back in the day. Modern day Dead Silence only grants silent movement when walking or crouching. With this change, a lot of players started to use the walk strat that you see a lot in most SND lobbies nowadays. I'd rather have this than having whatever the Warzone did having it as a operator skill, which is fucking weird. Hardline is a blue perk I use for respawn since its main use purpose is to increase points from killing enemies by 25%. This means earning your score streaks faster and consistently top fragging your team for those added ranked bonus points when you win. Well, that's been all 30-something score streaks explained in a nutshell and ranked on a tier list. Do you think some score streaks should have ranked higher? Tell me in the comments below. Anyways, this has been Chris. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. And before I say bye, hopefully, I'll start uploading more. I know I haven't been active, but there'll be a video explaining why pretty soon. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye. Finally onto... Not finally, what am I talking about? Okay. Onto our A tier retalk. What? I am so... This is like, what the fuck?